That kind of leads into a good segue into the countywide zoning. As most of the folks know, that the Board of Commissioners have chosen to go with countywide zoning. I know you were at the commissioner meeting where I think 500 folks showed up. You raised some concerns about the way the zoning was pushed through without community meetings the way they were promised, and other factors. Can you elaborate a little bit more as to what you see, what were the concerns of zoning and how it would affect people like your dad or other folks who are trying to do small businesses in the county and keep business here in Chatham County?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. And what I've seen is, out of all the meetings, from the first meeting where 500 people showed up to speak out and voice their opinions on it, to the planning board meeting, to the meeting when the vote was finally taken, to what I've experienced in traveling around the county in the last several months talking with people about it, a common theme is that the folks seem to want some level of protection. People don't think zoning is a bad thing. What they think is bad is when they're told your area is going to be zoned residential 1 house per acre. Your area is going to be zoned residential 5, 1 house per 5 acres, just because you live along a waterway or a river corridor, whatever it may be. And that's how it's going to be. Folks came into the courthouse, they came into the planning board meeting, they came to the final meeting where the vote happened, and they said, R1 doesn't work for us. R1 in a rural community where we grow crops, where agriculture, I don't know how much folks know about agriculture, but it's getting increasingly more difficult for a family to be able to sustain themselves off of agriculture alone, unless they have thousands of acres. So they have to find ways to generate income otherwise. Maybe it's a diesel repair shop, a woodworking business out of the barn in their backyard, whatever it may be. They have to find ways to supplement their income in the off seasons and outside of agriculture sometimes. And they tried to speak out saying R1 zoning doesn't work for us, because now, if for some reason agriculture goes further south and we're not able to sustain ourselves and we need to create another business, there's going to be a 12 to 18 month turnaround time for them to go through the application and approval process, not to mention the $500 application fee they're going to have to pay, and $50 per acre for every acre they're going to get rezoned. So as you look at that and you think about some of our areas out in western Chatham County that are rural, that are agrarian based, it's tough for somebody to wait 12 to 18 months before they can start generating revenue if one of their other business ventures is no longer working for them. Right. So that puts a significant handicap on our folks who are trying to be the entrepreneurs in our county, who are trying to be that background of our economic environment and generate small business in the communities that don't have access to larger businesses, that aren't close to a Food Line or a Walmart and some of the modern conveniences that people have out in areas like North Chatham, where you're 5 minutes away from every store that you may need to go to. We have to have entrepreneurs to build that. So R1 just doesn't make sense for people in that area. And they spoke out to try to tell our commissioners that. And they said, if you want to protect the land, R1 doesn't protect the land. It basically gives it a license to grow houses instead of crops. It becomes more valuable for residential development versus agriculture. They just wanted a voice in what they wanted in their areas. Some of the reasons that were given for the countywide zoning, well, it's going to protect us from undesirable industries. What are those undesirable industries? Who gets to decide that? Is it the people that live in those communities who would have the opportunity to work in those industries? Or is it a group of 5 people that sit in a courthouse in Pittsburgh who don't have to work in those industries, who don't live necessarily in those communities? Whose decision is that? And I think that's the biggest issue we've had with the way that zoning took place. Having community meetings where citizens could express their concerns, could spell out exactly what they wanted in their communities. Maybe some folks don't want a clay mine or any kind of quarry operation. They would have the opportunity to say, no, we don't want this quarry operation and clay mine here in this area. But we do want some CNC machining shops. We do want sawmills. We do want this or that. Our citizens never had the opportunity to tell our commissioners what those things were that they did and didn't want in their communities, how they saw their communities growing best. Well, they did have the opportunity, but they were told that they didn't have any value in what they said and it was going to be pushed forward, which really baffled me. I've never seen in my time in Chatham County people get more engaged in county government than when that courthouse was swamped with 500 people who were going to be impacted by the zoning that had taken place. And there's people on both sides of the issue saying, well, this is going to protect us. It's going to protect us from growth. It's going to protect us from this and that. R1's not going to protect you from growth. It's going to allow growth to continue on. What we need to do is find what people want, because nobody in this county knows best what it's going to take for a small community to be able to sustain itself and grow better than the people who live in that community. Those are the people we need to get that input from. Those are the people we need to design these guidelines for. Open use zoning would have been a great option because it would allow for citizens to decide what they did and didn't want. And that right was taken away from them. And we need to get back to a point, if I'm elected, one of the things I want to make sure we do is we start having those community meetings day one, so citizens have a voice in what their communities look like and how their communities are going to grow and what opportunities they have to give their children employment opportunities, or even folks that are already there, employment opportunities in their communities. That's government to me, is us as commissioners going out and saying, what do you need? How can we help you get that? Not, hey, you know what? I've got a lot of education and I think I know best. This is what we're going to tell you you need. That's not how you do government. That's not how we do things in Chatham County. That's not why people have flocked to Chatham County from all parts of the state, all parts of the country. When people talk about what they love about Chatham County, they talk about how nice the people are here, about how easy it is to get along with folks that live here. And the message that was sent when all of our citizens were trying to voice their concerns about that is not that, hey, we want to welcome to you a place where we respect your opinion, or we'll value your input, and we'll help this county grow in the way you as a citizen see it needing to grow for your benefit.